Yo, what is up guys? Welcome back to Andy's Reviews, and today we just got out of theater from watching the How to Train Your Dragon live action remake, and I'll be honest with you, this movie is very enjoyable. It's pretty awesome if you're a fan of the How to Train Your Dragon franchise, but it does have some serious flaws, which we'll get into in this review, starting right about now. First things first, let's go over the pros. Honestly, the casting choices in this movie were almost all absolutely perfectly casted. I'm not gonna lie, specifically Gerard Butler as Stoic was absolutely incredible. Literally, I love the way that Gerard Butler was able to transfer over the energy, the charisma, the absolute Vikingness of Stoic from the animated series into real life. It was absolutely phenomenal. Literally, every emotional beat between Hiccup and, of course, Stoic in the movie, from the animated movie into this movie, all hit the same beats. It was absolutely incredible, specifically towards the end of the movie when Hiccup and Stoic have a very emotional confrontation before heading into the final battle. It was absolutely incredible, very awesomely acted by both Gerard Butler and the guy who plays Hiccup. But back to Stoic and the other casting choices. Honestly, the guy who plays Hiccup did a pretty phenomenal job in embodying the awkwardness, weirdness, annoyingness, as well as awkwardness of the character of Hiccup. He did an awesome job embodying the awkwardness of what it's like to be a teenager, misunderstood by the people who are similar to your age. Honestly, the awkwardness of Hiccup was thoroughly embodied by this guy, and honestly, the engineering aspect of Hiccup was very well acted by this guy. Honestly, when he was creating the wing for Toothless in the movie, I honestly believe that he knew what he was doing. Of course, he's an actor, but you know what I mean. If you see the movie, all the engineering designs or scenes in the movie were absolutely incredible. And of course, the second main thing that I thoroughly enjoyed about this movie has to be the design of the dragons, Toothless, and the CGI aspect of the whole movie. It was absolutely well designed. Every dragon looked awesome, literally a copy and paste from the animated movie into live action. Every design was absolutely incredible, specifically Ash's dragon from the movie, whose name I forgot. But back to Toothless. Toothless was very awesomely designed. He was cute, adorable. He was very friendly looking. He looked alive, which is pretty awesome in my own personal opinion. But I'll be honest with you, the CGI in this movie was absolutely incredible. You have no idea. Go check it out in theaters as soon as possible. And of course, the third main thing that I thoroughly enjoy about this movie has to be the faithfulness to the source material. Literally, the director and writer, which I believe are the same person in this movie, did an awesome job in, of course, staying faithful to the source material. Literally, this movie is a heartfelt remake, step by step of the original movie. It was absolutely incredible. It actually allowed me to re-experience the movie for the first time once again. I'll be honest with you, I felt like a kid watching this movie. Literally watching the first 5 seconds between Hiccup and Toothless was absolutely incredible, specifically with John Powell's score. Honestly, I feel like a kid again. I love that aspect of the movie, and basically, if you grew up watching this movie as a kid, you are gonna feel like a kid again. And I cannot wait for you guys to experience that in theaters. And of course, don't even get me started on the costume designs and set designs of this movie. Literally, this movie did a phenomenal job in redesigning the world of Berk into a live action sense. The costume designs were absolutely incredible. Each Viking looked unique in their own way. Literally, every Viking looked different. They each had their own costumes. There was no repeat costumes. It was all absolutely very well designed, very well thought cared for. It was absolutely incredible. And also, the cinematography in this movie was pretty incredible. Literally, I don't know who the cinematographer was in this movie, but they were actually able to actually show us the vastness of the island of Berk. It actually looked way bigger in this movie than what it did in the animated movie, which was something I really appreciated. And also, I really appreciated the directors and creative team of the movie taking time to actually shoot scenes on location. Literally, the scenes where we see Hiccup and, of course, Toothless training in the wilderness and forest, they were all actually shot in location. There was no CGI whatsoever. And personally, I really appreciate that aspect of the movie. However, of course, this movie is far from perfect. There's some things I really didn't like, such as the fact that this movie is basically a copy and paste of the animated movie. Literally, this movie goes from point A to point B to point C exactly like the movie went, which can be a good thing for fans, but also a negative thing for critics. Literally, I would have really appreciated the fact if the directors, creative team of the movie would have taken the extra time to actually build up more dragon lore, which would have been awesome, more mythology, history of the island of Berk, which would have been pretty cool. Honestly, I would have liked to see flashback sequences of past Berkians actually fighting off dragons. That would have been cool. Honestly, now that you mentioned it, I would have liked the opening sequence of the movie to be the people of Berk or the history of the ancestors fighting off the dragons. That would have been pretty cool before actually kicking off the events of the movie. And also, the second main thing that I didn't like about this movie has to be the fact that the night sequences in this movie and night CGI were absolutely horrendous, specifically in the beginning of the act of the movie. Literally, the CGI or darkness of the movie was very bad. The color grading was horrible to the point where I couldn't even see what was going on screen. Literally, I actually paid money to watch this in Dolby Cinema, which is known to have the best colors and brightness of movies in general, and honestly, I wasn't able to tell anything that was going on in the opening sequence of the movie, which features basically the Vikings defending their home village from the dragons. Literally, that scene or opening act was absolutely horrendous. I couldn't see anything. Literally, I was confused, like, what is going on? Well, personally, I really knew what was going on, but to the average viewer, You could barely make out anything that was going on in the nighttime sequences, which was something I really didn't appreciate. And also, this whole issue with the color grading was also present in the third act of the movie. Literally, the third act of the movie features Pickup finding out the big dragon in a very, very grayish area. Personally, I would have liked the director to actually invest more time, money, energy, or actually the creative team, as a matter of fact. Honestly, they should have invested more money to actually make the final battle look more coherent. It was very, very grayish, very, very depressing. And I would have really, really, really appreciated that aspect of the movie. But besides that, let's get into the ending of this video. When it comes to placing this movie on the Annie's Reviews rating system, I have to say that this movie deserves a solid 7 out of 10 chimichangas, a rewatchability score of roughly 1 time max, as well as an overall grade of a B+. Well, there you have it. Please feel free to subscribe to the channel down below, leave a like on this video, and comment down below letting me know your thoughts about this movie. And I guess I'll see you guys in the next video.